So, I want to talk about coaching. I actually got the most common sort of coaching the first go round. I've had two different kinds of coaching. One is the stuff that is very common, and then I got the kind that is extraordinary. And the difference really comes down to this: one is skill based, the other one is not. Um, so when I got coaching the first go round, a guy called me up and I would answer the phone and he'd go, "Hey, it's Daniel. What's new? What's up?" And we would talk. And it was extremely helpful at the beginning because in my case, it was pretty obvious what I needed. I just didn't understand how to make the changes. And he gave me a lot of courage in that. And it made it so that I was more bold and more confident in making the adjustments. And then it got to cruising along and it was helpful and I was making lots of progress. And then all of a sudden it stopped being super helpful. And there were two reasons for that. One is um, because at first it was very obvious what I needed. But then as we progressed, it became less and less obvious. But I was still getting the phone call saying, "Hey, what's new? What's up? How can I be of help?" And I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know what skills were holding me back, or lack of skills. I felt like I had come up to his level, and that was where it just seemed like I was paying a lot of money to chit chat. And so we canceled that. And I went on a while longer. And then at my wife's encouragement, I got more coaching. Now, I decided that I was going to see what more high ticket type coaching was going to do for me. And I went with Brennan Burchard's company. And the coaching was spectacular, so helpful. And skill-based coaching is sort of like this. You start out with a strategy call. You talk about for 90 minutes. You go and you have a discussion about where you're at on the skills that are common among people that are extremely high performers. And the science and the idea is that as you develop these skills, you will be able to process and go through life better able to deal with life. And that goes for your business, your personal interactions, right? So we go and we do the strategy call, and then I'm given homework. And then one of the next times that we talk, um, we get on the call, and she goes, "Hey, Adam, how's it going? What was the best thing that happened this week?" We chit chat for like 2 minutes. She goes, "Okay, this week's session is going to be on courage." And we start talking about the characteristics of courage, what goes into courage. And she starts asking me questions about where I could use more courage in my life. And we start into a discussion about how I can apply this skill to my life and level up my courage. And if I can level up my clarity and my courage and my influence and my productivity and all these different things, when I stack them on top of each other like bricks, I start to ascend and I start to develop. And the change was not subtle. The change was actually dramatic. And I looked forward to each call. And as we progressed, I never got bored or tired of the coaching, and I always felt like I was making progress. One of the things that is also true about this sort of coaching is your coworkers are going to be rooting for you. They're going to be excited as long as you don't get too successful. You don't get too much victory or success, and to a point where they start feeling, not so awesome about themselves. And I say that because my job is to root for you, to give you camaraderie, to push you, and to demand of you. If you're a high performer, you already make demands of yourself. I am going to give you outside perspective, and I'm going to be making demands of you. And I'm not going to be like pushy and like that the the high school football coach that yells at you and tells you, terrible things about yourself. I'm going to be the guy that asks you questions. What would the greatest version of you look like? How, what would be the downside? What's the possible downside? What's the worst thing that could happen if you are courageous and you go through this? How will you feel about yourself? And I'll be that guy that as we go through the video training on courage, as we go through the written homework where you go through and you write stuff down and you turn that in, and I review it so that I'm prepped for our meeting. It's one very productive hour of conversation. Then I give you a MP3 copy of what we did, along with a transcription and my notes, explaining what I heard, what I think. You know, I'm not a consultant. I don't tell you what to think. I don't tell you um, anything. But as we get to talking and I ask you questions and you tell me stuff, I am going to write this stuff down. And then later on, the next day, next week, a year from now, I can still look back on my notes that I was given from Judy, and I can see where I made significant progress. Where I look back on my first calls with her, and I thought that I was doing pretty good. Now I look back and I go, "Holy moly, how did I even get by? Like, how did this happen?" All right, so that's the basics of how our coaching program works. Our program is something that if you're familiar with Brendan Burchard's books, The Charge and High Performance Habits. Okay, the way that this works is you get a video to watch, and then you get homework, and you give me that homework, and I read through it, and then we go through a series of questions where we start discussing things like clarity or courage or purpose or um, persuasion and these sorts of things, and we start to have a conversation about how persuasion can be applied to your life. So this is an application of skills that you can learn and develop. And as we go through this, when we get done with each session, which they are intense, exciting, fantastic, wonderful sessions. When we get done, you get an MP3, you get the notes that I was taking while we were talking, and you get a transcription of the conversation. And it makes it so that you can go and reflect back a week, a year, 2 years, 5 years, and you can find out what it is that you were thinking at the time. You will be shocked. I know that you will be shocked. I was. I am shocked when I go back and I take a look at my old the notes that Judy sent me, and I think back because there's a saying, the older I get, the better I was. And and I forget sometimes just how helpful the coaching was. I'm super excited about you watching this video. Click the link. Let's do a 90-minute strategy call. We'll just talk about where you're at, see if this is a good fit, see if I'm a good coach for you, and if you're a good client for me, because it's got to work for both of us. I don't take everybody. I want to just take the people that I know that I can help. So give me a call. We'll go over things. We'll see if we're a good fit, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I'm Adam Funderburg, the owner of High Caliber Coaching. Just click the button, fill out the form, and schedule an appointment with me, and we will get it going. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.